Welcome to the English Epics channel. I smiled at my daughter-in-law, Sarah, as I accepted the mimosa cocktail she handed me. Thank you, dear. I took a sip, savoring the indulgence of drinking a mix of champagne and orange juice at 10 in the morning. Hopefully, none of the grandchildren would ask me to share. Hearing a giggle to my left from one of the mentioned grandchildren, I turned my head, my smile growing wider. Maddie, my 4-year-old granddaughter, and Mia, who was 3, were taking turns twirling in their new outfits. Maddie's dress was lavender with a wide satin ribbon at the waist, while her cousin Mia's was almost identical but pink. I admired the craftsmanship and attention to detail. Every sequin on the bodice had been sewn on by hand. Tony, my second daughter-in-law, was, of course, very skilled with her hands, and it was so sweet of her to make the dresses for Mia, as well as for her own daughter. She even went so far as to decorate their ballet slippers and craft magic wands. No wonder the girls saw themselves as fairy tale princesses. As I watched, my 6-year-old grandson, Christopher, raced between his sister and his cousin, clutching his Captain America shield. Hot on his heels was my other grandson, Matthew, dressed as Iron Man, but wielding Thor's hammer. I smirked. Clearly, he had no issue being 2 superheroes at once. They dashed around the room like whirlwinds. Even the ornaments on the Christmas tree jingled from the breeze they created before running out through the back door, which Matthew's father, my son Shane, held open for them. I shook my head fondly. It felt like just yesterday when Sam, my husband, was doing the same for our boys. They too were rambunctious, full of energy and mischief. I looked around my living room, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. I loved Christmas, especially when the whole family was together. My 2 sons with their wives and children, my daughter, who was pregnant with her first child this year, and her husband, Tom. From the very beginning, Sam and I had our doubts about Tom. He was 10 years older than Melinda and quite reserved, but we were glad to have been proven wrong. He adored Melinda and encouraged her to continue studying archaeology, even knowing how challenging it could be to balance a career with family life. And he made Melinda happy. Very happy. What more could we possibly ask for? "Hi, Mom. Dad told me to give you this," said my eldest son Richard. He handed me a card and a gift box. "Oh, I thought we had opened all our presents," I replied. Richard smiled and shrugged. What can I say? I'm just the messenger. I smiled back at him, thinking about how much more he resembled his father with each passing year, and accepted both the card and the box. As good manners dictated, I opened the card first. Open your gift first, then read the accompanying letter. I suggest you do this in private. I smiled, glancing around, searching for Sam to wink at him, to show that I appreciated the mystery and, if my suspicions were correct, the intimate nature of his gift. But I couldn't find him. Instead of continuing to look, I gave in to my curiosity and headed to the study to open my mysterious gift in private. As the door closed behind me, the sounds of my family's celebrations faded. I sank into the leather armchair beside Sam's bookshelf. It was so comfortable it felt sinful, and I opened the gift box. I was wrong. It wasn't anything intimate. It was a case. Inside was a pendant. At first, I didn't know what to make of it. My instinct told me it was more than just a random design of silver, gold, and rose gold, delicately studded with diamonds. Upon closer inspection, I discovered intertwined words. How ingenious! The greatest gift of all. I was in awe of the artist's craftsmanship. How they managed to hide the words within a pendant no larger than 2 inches in diameter. It made a statement, one you could wear high, framed by the V-neck of a blouse, or low on a heavy chain over a polo neck sweater. I loved it. It was unusual and unique. Trust Sam to find something so extraordinary. As instructed, I pulled thin sheets of writing paper from the card. I could see they were overflowing with words. I smiled in anticipation of reading his love letter, silently thanking the gods that this man still loved me so deeply after all these years. Dear Lisa, I trust you've deciphered the words hidden in the design. If not, take another look. You need to know them before you continue reading this letter. Have you figured it out yet? They say, the greatest gift of all, and that is what I am offering you. This Christmas, it is my gift to you. What, you may ask, is the greatest gift of all? It is forgiveness. I offer you forgiveness. And a second chance. Contact your lover today. Write to him that it's over, that you can't go through with this, that you've changed your mind, that you never want to see or hear from him again. The letter fluttered from my fingers onto my lap as I gasped. Where had all the air in the room gone? I clutched at my chest. My heart was pounding so hard. Was I having a heart attack? A part of me, sadly, wished that were the case. If I died, I wouldn't have to face Sam. I wouldn't have to see the condemnation in his eyes. I wouldn't have to witness his pain or disappointment in me. I wouldn't have to look into my son's or my daughter's eyes and see my vain weakness reflected back at me. Sam knew. Oh God, my beloved Sam knew. My heart ached for the pain he must have felt. Pain I had caused. The reality of it hit me with the force of truth. I bit my lip to keep from screaming. How terrible guilt feels. How it corrodes the soul to know you are to blame, that you are responsible, that you are the villain. I have no one and nothing to blame but myself. Only my weak, vain, selfish self. With trembling hands, I picked up the letter from my lap. I knew I wouldn't like the rest of Sam's message, but Sam deserved my attention. He deserved to be heard. I won't go into details about why I suspected, what I did with those suspicions, or what I found out. Suffice it to say, I know his name is Peter Piper. I know enough to know that you're planning to sleep with him on New Year's Eve, and more than enough to know that you've already mocked the 35 years of life we've shared together. Before reading further, stop and think. This is what you've driven me to. I have to write a letter just to be heard. My eyes stung with shame. Sam, my dear, sweet Sam. Only I could perceive the true depth of pain in those few short words. He had never opened his innermost self, his vulnerabilities, to anyone on this planet. Only to me, someone so unworthy of him. And I betrayed that trust. I felt overwhelmed. My throat tightened, choked by guilt. What can I say, Lisa? At one point, I had a beautiful and loving wife, a house that was too big but good, and a wonderful family I was proud of. Things were going great. The kids were amazing. The grandkids, even better. And then, one bright and sunny morning, I woke up and realized it had all been a mirage. My world collapsed beneath me. I felt as if I'd fallen into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Do you know what I've come to understand throughout all this? Emotions aren't static. You can't separate them into neat little parts. Not entirely. Not forever. They aren't solid like bricks or stones. You can't take a brick of pain, a brick of emptiness, and a brick of anger, stack them in the corner of some room, and shut the door on them. They're more like water. They flow. They rise and fall. They come in waves. And the mind, it's not a vessel that can hold them like a cup. They seep, they infiltrate, and they saturate new areas. It's as if my entire being were a house. And your betrayal turned on a faucet in my mind. This adulterous water filled my thoughts, polluting every waking moment. Then it overflowed, soaking into my heart, my gut, my limbs, every corner, every crack, every staircase and room of my house. It hasn't stopped, and with each passing day, it starts to rot. The foundation has been weakened. Soon, there will be no foundation left to crumble. You were my foundation, Lisa. And now I've discovered that you're not covering me. It's not you and me against the world anymore. You're not as loving and loyal as I believed. And without that faith, the rest of my life feels like ash in my mouth. Everything I've worked for over the past 35 years seems to no longer matter. All the compromises, all the sacrifices, every single one of them had been meaningless. They had achieved nothing. It was all for nothing. Sam's words shook me to my core. What had I done? What had I caused? Sam, the strong, resolute, noble Sam. Sam, my rock, the wonderful father and provider. Sam, with his corny jokes and terrible cooking. Sam, who loved his family with all his heart. Sam, who now believed his life was worthless. And it was my fault. Regret wasn't a big enough word to describe the depth of my anguish. I had been foolish and vain, soaking up the attention of a younger man. And why? I wasn't unhappy. I wasn't bored. I wasn't dissatisfied with Sam or my life. Quite the opposite. I was ashamed to admit that I did it solely for the warm glow it gave my ego, for the thrill of feeling young and desirable again. What does that say about me? I might very well have destroyed the man I loved, all because of my vanity. Water dripped onto Sam's neatly written page. I looked at it in surprise. I raised my hand to my face and realized my cheeks were wet. I hadn't even noticed I was crying. Perhaps I shouldn't say this now. Perhaps I should save it for the final paragraphs. But I can't. I need to tell you. If you don't end your affair today, I won't fight you over money, the house, or any other material garbage. None of that matters. I also won't fight this man for your heart. I won't try to court you or beg. I won't turn to romantic gestures and try to sweep you off your feet again. I won't list all the reasons why choosing your marriage is better than choosing your affair. And I certainly won't plead. I shouldn't have to. This fight should have been won the day you accepted my proposal. And anyway, how can I compete? He's younger, he's new. A mystery for you to unravel. A fresh, sweet taste for you to try. How can I, old and boring, completely known, plain old vanilla, hope to compete? Compete? Oh, Sam, you don't need to compete. I'm yours. I've always been yours. I just got a little lost. Oh, my dear, please forgive me. I've been a foolish old woman. Seeing my actions through Sam's eyes, I understood the true nature of what I'd done. They weren't beautiful. When did I become so susceptible to flattery? So needy? When did I lose my focus? My moral compass? The questions tormented me. I pushed them to the back of my mind. I knew I'd have to answer them eventually, but in that moment, the far more important thing was to finish reading Sam's letter and truly listen to his words. What you've done struck such a blow to my heart that I'm not sure it will ever fully heal. I had no idea such pain existed. And it doesn't stop. It just goes on and on without end. Night after night, for the past month, I've watched you sleep, silently screaming at you, asking why you didn't tell me you were unhappy, why you never gave me a chance to fulfill that need, that void you turned to him to fill. Why wasn't my love and devotion enough for you? Do you have any idea what it was like to have dinner with you, watch TV, or read the newspaper, all while wondering what I did to deserve a wife who was constantly distracted, always lost in thought, distant and preoccupied? Even when you were with me, you weren't really with me. It felt like there was some fantastic concert or party next door, and if it weren't for me, you'd be there. I was gasping, struggling for air. Pain. So much pain. I had caused so much pain. Oh, Sam, you were always enough. Even as I thought those words, I wondered if they were a lie. If Sam was enough, why did I seek attention elsewhere? No, that wasn't right. Sam was enough. The deficiency was in me. I was the one afraid of aging, of no longer being desirable. The bottomless pit of need was inside me. I can't adequately describe. I just don't have the words for it. The hollow loneliness I've felt every time I held you over the past 4 weeks. knowing you were seeking his attention, his praise, his affection, his touch, his kisses, every "I love you" you've said hasn't brought that warm glow to my heart, as it used to, as it should have. Instead, it's felt like another stab wound. Your words, your affection, they're all poisoned by your secrets and lies. I think it's true, what the experts say. You can never truly know what's in another person's heart. I thought I knew yours. I thought I knew you. But I was wrong. It seems I don't know you at all, because the Lisa I knew and loved would never have been capable of deceit and betrayal. Oh, I know you haven't slept with him yet, but I also know you've done things no loving and faithful wife would ever do. And worst of all, I know you were planning to take that final step in the near future. Knowing that his words were true shattered me. I felt Sam's pain as though it were my own. With each phrase, I endured another stab wound. I didn't try to avoid them. I deserved everyone. Tears kept streaming down my face, and I made no effort to stop them. Just a week ago, you came home after a party with friends. Yes, I know that was another one of your lies. That you were with him. It was late. I pretended to be asleep. You shook me lightly and patted my shoulder. I think you were trying to wake me up so we could have sex. It filled me with rage. I felt like I was about to explode, that you would come to me, seeking my embrace, after spending the evening with him. I wanted to roll over and strangle you. Instead, I continued to pretend to be asleep. After a couple of minutes, you gave up and pressed yourself against my back, even wrapping your arm around me. But that wasn't the worst part. You sighed. After 35 years, I know every nuance of your sighs, and this one was contented. It reminded me of the cat we had when the kids were little, Sebastian. He used to sigh the same way, right after stretching, and shredding my armchair to bits with his claws. You were just like that damn cat. You clawed at my broken, bleeding heart, and then sighed happily about it. I shuddered, vividly recalling that night in every detail. I had come home feeling so sexy. How awful it was to know that Sam knew. God, how he must have felt. So used. Now, it felt disgusting to think about arousing my sexual appetite by flirting and soaking up compliments over dinner with Peter. Only to expect it to be satisfied at home with Sam. It was as though I had used Sam as nothing more than a flesh and blood toy, a cat. Sam was right. I had behaved like a cat. A stray cat. I carefully placed the letter on my lap and covered my face with my hands. I wanted to hide. I didn't like the person I saw in Sam's letter. That woman wasn't a good person. She was frivolous and carelessly cruel. She was vain and selfish. What had happened to me? How had I strayed so far from the person I used to be? The woman who had raised 3 children to be honest and decent. Where had my own honesty been in the past month or so? I lifted my face, forcing myself to take a few deep breaths, like I used to do when jogging, when the pain set in and I needed a little extra oxygen to cope. It took several repetitions to prepare myself for the rest of Sam's letter. I've loved you for so long, practically my entire adult life. Feelings like that don't just disappear. You can't simply switch them off, like turning off a light. But, at the same time, I have new feelings toward you, and they're not pleasant. They're angry and hurt. They're upset and vengeful. They're even hateful. Right now, as much as I love you, I also despise you in equal measure. My heart, my gut, it feels like they're in a blender, with all the old and new emotions spinning together. What will come out on the other side? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Part of me hopes you'll choose your lover because the path to any semblance of happiness will be difficult, strewn with obstacles, and I resent the need to work on improving a situation I had no hand in destroying. This past month has been the worst of my life. I'll admit, when I confirmed my suspicions, I didn't know what to do. I felt paralyzed, incapable of action. I never imagined I'd find myself in such a situation. I didn't have some crude plan to put into play. My knee-jerk, Reaction was to throw you out. But then I thought about the children and grandchildren, people who, I might add, have also been affected by your betrayal, even if they don't know it yet. What we do ripples outward, like a stone dropped into a pond. The effects spread. Nothing we do, no decision we make, exists in isolation. There are always consequences. I don't think I would have written you this letter if it weren't for them. But enough. I'm giving you this one chance. It's either him or me. I need to be honest. Even if you end it today, I can't guarantee that we'll survive. But if our marriage, if we, mean anything to you, you must leave him. Then you must choose me. Choose us. And you must do it today. I shuddered with relief. Sam had given me a choice. It hurt to know that he felt the need to offer one. Despite my recent foolishness, for me, it was Sam. It had always been Sam. It would always be Sam. I felt the pain and anger laced through every word, and I vowed to do everything in my power to heal the wounds caused by my actions. Gratitude filled my heart. Gratitude that he loved me and our family enough to try. That he meant what he said in his opening words. He was willing to try to forgive me. He was willing to give me a second chance. I may not have deserved the chance he was offering, but I wanted it. No matter what, I wanted it with every fiber of my being. I dropped the letter and reached into my pocket for my phone. Without a moment's hesitation, I composed a message to Peter. It's over. This was a mistake. I don't want to see you again. Don't call. Don't text. Forget my number. All I felt as I pressed the send icon was relief. If you choose me in our marriage, all you need to do to let me know is to wear the pendant. Later, when the children and grandchildren leave, you can show me the text you sent him so I can verify it. And yes, Lisa, I will need to verify it. With your words and actions over the past month, you've shown that your word alone isn't enough. Proof. As you make your decision, keep in mind that I'm not offering you a free pass. Forgiveness doesn't come cheap. And to be completely honest, my gift is as much for me as it is for you and our family. My offer of forgiveness doesn't diminish what you've done. Unforgiveness is like a tumor. It eats away at the one who holds it inside. I refuse to be its next victim. In that sense, my gift is not just for you, but also for me. A second chance doesn't come without cost or effort. You're the one who sowed destruction, so the bulk of the work in rebuilding our relationship will fall on you. I will, without a doubt, have many difficult questions you'll need to answer, obstacles you'll have to overcome, and issues you'll have to face. I can't promise I won't yell or lose my temper. You've lost my trust. Regaining it won't be easy. The same goes for my respect. All you have now are the smoldering remnants of a roaring fire in my heart. It will be up to you to fan those embers back into flames. If you choose your lover, leave the pendant in its case and place it on the mantelpiece. That choice will mean you'll move out of the house and initiate divorce proceedings in the new year. The decision is yours. Divorce, or the greatest gift, forgiveness, and a second chance. Sam, thank you for listening.